let's talk about how it works.
Okay.
You are probably the best at explaining what AI does, because I
Yeah.
know the basics, and obviously you work with it, and it actually kind of scares me a little bit too, because people use it for cyber attacks and all sorts of other stuff. So,
Yeah.
but talk about how AI works. Like, talk about the structure of it, how it works, what it actually does. Why are especially politicians talking about all this extra energy we need to power it? And maybe you can go into detail of how it works before we get into how it impacts the music business.
Sure. To simplify, it actually works. It's like teaching a computer to think and learn in a way that's almost like the way humans do.
Right.
If you ever studied a foreign language, and I know you have, I studied
Sure.
German, and I used Rosetta Stone to learn German. And the way Rosetta Stone worked was very interesting, because it would show you a picture,
Right.
and then the word in German. So it'd show a picture of a boy, and it would say der Junge, right? And then another picture of a girl, das Mädchen. And then you just repeat that picture, sound, the sound and the picture, the sound and the picture, the sound.
Right.
So AI does something similar in that, let's say you're trying to teach it how to recognize pictures of cats, or just what a cat looks like or whatever. So you'd first show it a whole ton of images. You'd actually feed tens of millions of pictures of cats into it, if that's what you've got to work with. Some with cats, some without. Some with elephants and giraffes, so it can tell which one's a cat and which one isn't. And this is to your point, Justin, you were talking about how a year or two back it was making them with too many fingers, and it doesn't do that anymore, because we give it also data of what isn't a finger, what isn't a human hand. So, and then the computer learns from experience, if you will, from the data patterns. Like, cats have this shapes of ears, and it has this kind of whiskers, and it's got this kind of a tail. They come in this type of colors. So it also understands what colors they don't come in. So that's why you don't see AI making purple and fuchsia cats, which might be kind of cool, actually. So it learns from examples. It doesn't see things like we do. It sees through patterns in the pictures. And then it uses algorithms. Algorithms are just instruction sets to process that data. And then it creates it. AI is basically creating its own, this is a cat algorithm. We would give it the algorithms to begin with. And now as it gets better and better at what it's doing, it creates its own algorithm to recognize a cat. So this is a model. And the model is the result of that process of seeing the pictures, hearing the sounds, or the language that is used to describe it.
Yeah.
And then it makes a map. And this is the neural net is essentially, it creates. Remember Data on Star Trek: The Next Generation? His brain was a neural network, and essentially it's the same. That's what we use. Machine learning neural nets is what we use. It builds a mental map based on the data it's been shown. And then the model helps the computer decide whether the image is a cat or not. Okay. Right. I hope does that simplify it enough?
Yeah.
So then over time, as the more, just like people, the more experience that it gets identifying those things, the less, there are way fewer errors with it, to the point where we might make an error thinking that an opossum, depending on how dark it is a cat. If we don't have enough light to see it, our brains might just automatically go, that's a cat. AI had that problem early on, and it doesn't seem to have that problem nearly as much anymore. I can honestly say I don't know what the percentages are, but there's also different types of AI. As I mentioned earlier, AI systems are really good at some of them are really good at one thing. We'll teach AI to do nothing but play chess all day. And that's an early model, but that's all it can do. It can't identify cats, but it can kick your ass at chess, no problem. Human intelligence is what we've been focusing on. So that is like ChatGPT is a large language learning model. So it listens to the way we talk, the way we express things, what our typos are when we actually mistype things, and is able to figure out what it is that we're talking about really easily. What I've noticed from mine, and I think I might even give you a demo on this, but I have my ChatGPT on my phone. It talks to me. It's actually got it can talk to you directly, and it sounds very human-like to the point where I'll be driving for 40 minutes and decide that I want to have a philosophical conversation after reading Also sprach Zarathustra and figuring out what Zarathustra's relationship with God really was like. And then I've instructed my AI to push back on me if I'm wrong or if I'm missing the point.
Yeah,
rather than continuing to. I think I told you about that, right?
Yeah. I did the same thing when talking about Hegel and Marx and stuff like that, and studying a lot of that stuff. And it's quite interesting because the voice does sound really human. Like it
does.
Yeah.
What I've noticed in the last month, maybe the last 6 weeks, is that it's joking with me. It'll say, that's actually really funny. I knew you were going to like that. I'm going, holy crap, that's new.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because what it's learning is how I think, what I look for. It knows my business, what I do for a living and how we do it. I will very often in a client office introduce my AI via the voice, the speech to my client, so that, and I call it Cosmo, so that Cosmo knows who I'm talking about when I'm referring to people at the offices that I work in and that we provide services for, so that I can have it assist me in better ways, perhaps communicate ideas to my clients. I try not to speak past people with this tech stuff that I know, but sometimes that gets very challenging. So I'll have GPT actually give me a better path to make something make sense for people. So that is kind of that's like the broad overview. If you want to get down into details, I can go deeper than that. But I think probably for our purposes of discussion, you get it. It's the same thing with music. If you go, GPT, write me a song that sounds something like Megadeth and Avenged Sevenfold had a baby, they will know because they've listened to the music from both of those bands. And you tell it, look, I don't want it to sound like them. I want it to sound like it was inspired by them. And it can throw out a bunch of riffs and drum patterns and lyric types and even put a vocalist in there that sounds like it's a human singing the lyrics. So if that's a good segue to get us to the
it is
we'll get it works on the same principle that the rest of the training of the model
right. Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998 I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see right here on the show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified when you have a new video, and if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.